Sewing with the Juki. In this video we're going to talk about threading the machine in the bobbin, sewing forward and backward, and using the seam guide to help you sew a straight line. So, threading the machine. The thread comes from the reel, which is on the right, and it goes through the thread retainer, which is kind of in the middle of the machine. Then it goes through that thread eyelet, down through the guide to the tensioner, where it goes clockwise around in between the thread controller disc, through the check spring, under the lever, and then back up through the take-up lever. From there, it goes through the guides and then through the needle. You can find an illustration of this in the drawer of the machine. So here we're going to take out the needle, and I found that screwdriver in the drawer of the machine to take out the needle. You will only do this if the needle is broken and you need to replace the needle. So we're going to take a look at the slot. There's a slot in the needle right there. That slot allows the thread to fit into the needle as it passes through the material. So that slot is positioned to the left of both this machine and the faff. Make sure you push the needle all the way up really high and then tighten the screw, and then you can rethread the needle. Now it's going to go underneath the presser foot and towards the back of the machine. Let's take a look at the bobbin. So I'm going to move the plate. You can see the bobbin. You can either see it from the top through that little window, or you can move the machine and you can see it from underneath. Grab the lever and pull out the bobbin. Notice this machine has oil in it, so just make sure everything stays really clean. So I'm going to take the bobbin out of the bobbin case. You're going to notice that there's different ways to wind the bobbin. You can wind it clockwise, or you can wind it counterclockwise. So it should not be placed into the machine going counterclockwise. You should make sure that the bobbin thread is winding clockwise, and then place it into the bobbin case, and then thread it underneath the tensioner. And then fit the bobbin case back into it snaps right into place, back into the machine. And now we're going to try to pull that bobbin thread up through the hole. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on to the needle thread and wind the wheel. And as I wound it, it actually wound the needle thread and pulled up the bobbin thread. Now I have both the bobbin thread and the needle thread, and I'm pulling them back to the back side of the machine. Make sure it just stays back there. So let's take a piece of material, and we're going to try stitching. So I folded it over, and here's where you turn the machine on. And then I'm going to lower the presser foot onto the material, and I'm holding the thread back. And then I start the machine, holding the thread back to make sure that the thread doesn't get sucked back into the machine. I keep the needle in the material as I rotate, and then I go a little bit further, and I'm holding onto the wheel for short distances. I lift the lever foot, and then I press it, the presser foot, and I go back. I'm going to leave the needle in the material, lift the presser foot, lower it, and then finish my little rectangle. Lift the presser foot, rotate the material, and now what I want to do is I want to go forward and back to lock the stitch. And that little lever allowed me to go in reverse. Now I cut the threads, and I'm cutting the threads really, really close to the material so I don't have any loose threads. Now this is the seam guide. This will help you sew a straight line. So I can position the material at either 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, or 1/4 inch. Let's do 1/4 inch. And so I'm going to position the material so that the seam is 1/4 inch from the edge of the material. So you can see now my seam is 1/4 inch from the material. This is the stitch length regulator, so you can change the length of your stitches. This is the knee lift lever, allows you to lift the presser foot, and that's the bobbin winder. And you can find all the instructions for the Juki in the drawer. Thank you.